Thank you for saying you're welcome. Un bateau frêle comme un papillon de mai. This is a totally inaccessible poem. Each word, phrase, and line has been designed to puzzle you, its reader, and to test whether you're intellectual enough, well-read, or discerning enough to fully appreciate this poem. This poem has been written for an audience of poets who know the difference between the simple past tense and has been, the present perfect tense, and who also recognize the possible aesthetic effect of that difference. Poets who also know that has been has another meaning, even though that other meaning is not relevant to this poem. This poem is unnecessarily complicated, flailing wildly like an opium addict looking vainly for its pipe at a demonstrably deranged aversion of the necessary in quest of the improbable. Necessity is to this poem what margarine is to marzipan. This poem cries out for an audience that is able to savor the use of a single quotation mark where less sensitive readers would fail to see while double quotes weren't used, and might even be so foolish to think that using single quotes was a mistake or pretentious. This poem has been written not for just any other poets, but for those special ones capable of appreciating the nuances and tricks, prosody and infrastructures, or their absence in this poem. This poem fancies poetry as an eidetic emanation, so rare and so refined that it will elude even the most elite readers, which almost certainly does not and will never include you. Its attitude toward you as a general reader is that you'd be better off watching BBC News or listening to NPR human interest programming, or anyway, sticking to the laureates. This poem appeals to a small coterie of those in the know by making in-group references that will leave you scratching your head. If your hand ever frees itself from scratching your ass. This poem is laced, as tea is laced, with arsenic, but also as lace is made in Chantilly, with coded winks to beret-clad cognoscenti, sly references such as the fact that the title of this poem refers to another poem, which is never referenced in this poem, or not referenced in a way the broad public would be hip enough to be hip to. Ticket! So, hey, if you're not hip to that other poem, you will be as out to sea with this poem as the proverbial organ grinder who lost his monkey, not in the great storm raging, always raging outside, but in the headier storm raging like a god who's lost his sheep or a millinery salesman who's lost his samples. In the supernal storm raging inside the organ grinder's mind. And speaking of the title of this poem, as we have been doing, we if, but only if you have gainst all judgment accepted this poem's insouciant solicitation. Have you noticed, careful readers surely woulda, that the title of this poem, thank you for saying you're welcome, seems to bear no relation to the text, which follows. This imparts this poem with an extra shot of aura, at least for those clever enough to appreciate the conceit.